I read this book by Dr. Steve Covey some years ago, maybe almost 15 years ago. Until this day, the knowledge that was being displayed in this book was so relevant. And actually, it was a catalyst in changing my life, pretty much instrumental. And it was talking about the 3 levels of dependency. And I'm going to get to the point of how you can transcend this message from regular living to understanding the ways of these multi-billionaires and millionaires, how they get to a point in life to where they feel as though now they have to start giving back. And I was reading in the book of The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People by Dr. Steve Covey. In this book, he explained the messages of dependency. He explained that they were broken down into 3 different levels. So let's go to the first level, which is dependency, which means that from the time you were born to the time that you are a teenager, the mind is still somewhat of a sponge. Everything that you do is so impressionable. So you have to be careful about who it is that you call your mentors and your teachers and your parents and everything. Like that's the most important part, because that's when you are most impressionable. You don't know how to decipher the difference between right or wrong or good or bad. You don't know the difference between being joyful and depression. You don't know the difference between those two, but you take everything at face value because someone that's above you is telling you something. Now, we also know the downsides of that is if the wrong person is your role model and they are telling you the wrong things in life, then those are the things that makes you a little bit dysfunctional, kind of a little antisocial, not being able to really mesh in and deal with society. That's how we have some of these sociopaths out there, and psychopaths out there in the world, because the simple fact is, if you dig further into their life, you will find at some point in their childhood, they had some dysfunctional behaviors that was imposed upon them by someone who was of greater age or substance or to a degree of expertise or influence. Now, as we dig into that part, you taking everything at face value when it's true. Well, the second level is preparing you for a second age, which is your adolescent years. That's when you are developing an image based on everything that you have received within your point of life. And you are understanding like, hey, based on how I grew up, the instances and experiences that has happened to me, I have now developed an image of myself or how I want to be perceived in this world. And it's always when you are comparing your image to the rest of society that you decide if your esteem is high or low. People who have high self-esteem pretty much can care less about the ways and the worlds and the ways of society and their different likes or dislikes or fashions and everything of that sort. They don't care about the latest trend. They're not trendy. They're more of an individual personality, right? Because they're coming into their individual selves. I believe in me. I'm more confident in me. I set the standard and the bar for myself. So therefore, I'm moving along to how I see myself. But it's only when you have people that have suffered some type of abuse, whether it be physically, emotionally, verbally, sometimes mentally, and what derives from that is a development of a dysfunctional characteristic. And they begin to impose that and express that into the world because they're not really sure where they sit in life. But that's the way it is. And so when you're talking about independency, you are moving on to, I've taken my image from the time I was dependent, and now I'm moving along to a point to where I'm now independent and begin to build a life for myself. So now I want my own house, my own car, thinking about my own career, thinking about my own relationships with a spouse. Do I want to have children, not have children? Do I want to start a business, or do I want to have a career? How long should the career be? Like, these are the things that we think about when we're becoming more independent. And the independent stage is from adolescence all the way into your early 20s. That's when you're like independent. The sad part is you have some people that are way in their 30s or 40s or 50s and they're still acting independent. They just have not made it past that second level. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I'm going to get to the third stage, which is interdependency. That means that from the dependent stage to the independent stage, now you've made it to the point to where you realize that the world is built on this huge other system that focuses on giving back to other people. And it's not just giving back. It's not mean to give back. It means that you have acknowledged that the purpose of mankind is based solely upon the elevation of creation. That means that now you are living for love, life, pursuit of happiness, and all of those things of that sort. But in order to do that, you make sure that part of your life is contributing to helping someone else who can't, because you have made it to this point to where now you are able to reach back and grab someone else, reach back and help someone else, sow seeds into other people's life, and at the same time realizing that you need a hand up. So that means that in order to get a hand up, you have to reach down as well. So it's one hand reaching up and one hand reaching down. That means that you are pulling yourself up from someone else who understands the meaning of interdependency, and also you are reaching down to help someone else and pull them up to a level, because that's also the double meaning of interdependency, right? That means someone's dependent upon you. You're reaching them up so that they can become independent of needing or being without. And then you at the same time are reaching up to be on a higher level in life. So if you equate all of those three levels from a regular human, just interaction, social point of view, perspective, if you will, to now you're transcending that to the economical, the same thing applies. When you are first starting out, you are a dependent. You are learning how to work. You are learning how to acquire money. You are learning how to account for budgets and everything of that sort. You're learning how to pay bills. You're learning how to just even treat money seriously, which comes back to when you were first young. You know, your parents or a guardian or someone that you looked up to, a role model, was giving you an allowance, you know, to a certain degree. If they didn't have it to give you an allowance, they was teaching you how to earn money for yourself, how to get a first bank account, just to learn the process thereof. And then you start going into the point to where you are independent. So now you are going into getting your job, understanding the career, budgets, markets, bonds, and so forth, whole life insurance policies. You're just learning about a lot of stuff. You know, you learn about 401ks and IRAs and all these different types of letters, but it all revolves to you becoming an independent person. That's what it revolves to. And so once you get to a stage in life that you have settled and you have conquered that level of being independent, right? So this is when you've had a few years now to where you have become independent. You've taken care of yourself. You're not running into the nuances of the setbacks and everything financially. You're not being put out of your home or getting your car repossessed anymore. You know, and you're really not. You're learning not to spend so much on the facetious or the temporary type of fashions. You're not being too trendy. You're pretty much living your life of your own and making less mistakes along the way. That's what that means. Now you can go back and teach someone else. This is how I did it. You know, this is what I'm doing. This is how I did it. Everything that I'm giving you is putting my last 10 to 20, maybe even 30 years of experience, compiling it all into one lesson, and I'm handing it to you because I see the potential in you. You are independent. You've been doing it for quite a while, and I want to reach you up to come to another level in life. That's interdependency. That's when you are understanding the whole magic behind reaching up and reaching down to bring the two together so that you can be an addition to humanity, the evolution of humanity, which is why we're all here. We are all created to evolve. We're not created to be stellar. We're not created to be complacent, and definitely not created to be a procrastination. With procrastinator, that is not us. We wait on opportunities and everything, but that's a whole nother subject. So let me not get off track. We are created to be an addition to the evolution of humankind. That's who we are. And doing that, it takes all three of those levels: dependency, independency, and interdependency. Well, I hope you've had a good time listening to this at this point in time. I would love to hear off in the videos where you are in the comments. Let me know if this is something that has been beneficial for you, if it's been helpful for you. Like, where are you in your life? Whether you leave that in the comments or not, I just want you to ask yourself, when you discussing all of the things that we just went over, where are you in your life? Are you a dependent still? Are you independent? Or are you on the level of interdependency? And if you are, I would love to hear what you're doing, how, or why. And it's like I said, these are good messages of experience. These are good messages of mental and emotional and spiritual health. So if you feel like this is something that could be beneficial for you or someone else who you may love in the future, be an addition to the evolution of the world and spread this message as much as you possibly can. And please like and subscribe. And to all of my activists out there, as always, I encourage you, never give up. Keep fighting. Take care.